What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Kick and Makeup Show. I'm the American Hybrid Nick Cunningham. With me, as always, Jeremy J.D. Dorsey. It is January 26th, and as you guys can see, we are in a new location. New year, new locations, man. That's what we're going to do. I want to give a big shout out and thank you to Cafe Fresh in downtown Moline, 1514 downtown Moline, to be exact. I'd like to say thank you to them for letting us come down here, shoot the show. We are actually in the Refresh Lounge part of the restaurant. Over there, you can hear some clanging. They're getting ready to open up Cafe Fresh, which is awesome. I love this place.
Yes.
Big thank you to them. Watch this show, then get in your car, get down here, 1514, downtown Moline, Cafe Fresh. Food here is awesome.
You can skate here today. It's extra snowy.
You can't just slide. Just walk out of your house, run really fast, and then put your feet down. Slide down the hill. It'll take you right to the door. Awesome food, healthy food. Good stuff, man. I'm sure they have some not healthy stuff here, but I think really. I
really
good.
like this side of everything over here. It's pretty swanky.
Yeah.
Looks,
nice.
It'd be real nice if you were holding, having a little event here. So I'm sure that they would, be able to accommodate you if you want to do something like that, especially with the DJ booth over there.
Right. And we have we have a guy with an acoustic guitar coming out midway through the show.
Yes.
And just to take us out nice and smooth.
Yep.
Nah, we don't have him. Maybe
Flaming
next time.
Rod.
What's that?
Flaming Rod.
The Flaming Rod?
Yeah. That's his name?
That's his name.
Okay.
It's a new band. You guys don't even know about him yet. Exclusive. Kick and Makeup. We got to get going, man. Let's get going. We're so excited. We're rambling. We missed last week, so we're just rambling this week. Before we get everything that's going on in MMA, UFC 183 coming up. We're gonna save that, our picks for the UFC 183, Anderson Silva versus Nick Diaz coming later. We're gonna get our particulars out of the way. This is the Kick and Makeup Show. www.kickandmakeup is where you can find all of our past shows, pictures, articles from Ola America, just fun stuff we've done through the last couple of years.
Yeah, everything. It stays pretty up to date with all the stuff, so check it out. It's one of those sites where you can go to that you should just put on your list of things you check. Maybe not necessarily daily, but on a weekly basis. But I would say
daily.
I would say Twitter. You can check Twitter daily. We're always on there saying something on Twitter. So. And now's about time where you would mention that, isn't it?
It is. Beautiful time. Wake up, brush your teeth, go to the bathroom, check Twitter. At Kick and Makeup is the show's and Jeremy's. At Hybrid MMA is mine. Man, we did some quick videos the other day. I like that. We got to do that again.
Yeah.
We just kind of, shoot the breeze on there, whatever's going on. Get that up on your Twitter account. Go to Facebook, too. We have a group page, Kick and Makeup. Type that in. Get into the forums. Get into the group. We have trivia. We've got shirts that we owe people from past trivia days, and we got to get those shirts out still. I mean, that's just kind of like, you remember what was that show where at the end Jimmy Kimmel said, "And sorry to Matt Damon for not." I think we're just gonna say sorry to our winners for not getting our shirts. Like that's what we're gonna do every show.
Just do that every. I like that. I like that. I like that almost better than actually giving away the shirts.
Yeah, I think we're gonna do that, and maybe one day we'll give the shirts away. But definitely, we're gonna say that. We've got a Instagram page. We've got a YouTube page. You're kind of manning those up, and they look beautiful, man. Doing well on that.
Yep. Always fun to keep everything up to date. I mean, it's a necessity nowadays, especially with the way MMA is it's not so much a weekend sport now. It's a daily sport. There's always news breaking, so you can always check out one of our avenues to either hear us reporting it or talking about it. So tons of places to stay in touch.
Right, and as we, if you haven't watched the show before, we do this in 3 parts. We have the high kick, which is the best thing going on in MMA right now. The low kick, which is the worst thing, in our opinion, going on in MMA right now. I guess that's subjective, right? And also,
our opinion is the only one that matters, though.
It is, actually.
Especially on our show.
I was going to save that for the end. And everything you just heard is fact. Goodbye.
100%.
And then also the That's Some BullKick, where we just sit and we talk about what's going on, some weird, goofy stuff going on in MMA. We've had some good bull kicks, and we got a good one today too. So we're gonna get to that very quickly. But as you said, it's a weekly thing. MMA is a weekly thing. I was gonna start the show off with, it's fight week again, but it's always fight week.
Fight week. It's fight week somewhere.
Yeah. So we're gonna save It's fight week, UFC 183. Saving that till the end. We're gonna start with our high kick of the week. Our high kick of the week goes to Anthony Rumble Johnson for beating Alexander Gustafsson this past Saturday at UFC on Fox in Stockholm, Sweden. He will now face UFC lightweight champion Jon Jones later this year. Huge fight. And I stole your term. Huge fight.
Yes.
JD's known for that in the cage aggression world. But you know what? We were talking a little bit before that at work. We were talking, throughout the week with friends. I did not think Johnson was going to win, actually. I didn't think he was going to win. I definitely didn't think he was going to win in the first round versus Gustafsson.
I didn't think he was going to win either. Like you said, we talked about it right before we left work, and I was just like, yeah, this definitely was an option for happening. I just didn't think it was going to happen. So I thought it was going to be Gustafsson a little bit later on in the fight, but the tenacity that Johnson showed, we talk all the time about having guys who we want to see who finish fights.
Right.
And he is an ultimate finisher. Like he's gonna rip your head off. And it was like I don't know if it was the eye poke necessarily that just got him going, but it was over so fast too, and it was shocking to me. It was shocking to me. I was expecting a little bit more out of Gustafsson, especially after the performance we saw with him against Jones, and he's in Sweden, you got the crowd heavily in your favor, and to see the fight sort of turn out the way that it did. I couldn't imagine just being a fan in the crowd. And being from Sweden, and this is your guy finally, and then to see him go out
the Mauler got mauled. The Mauler got mauled,
destroyed.
And that was something that I was thinking about before too. I like Johnson. I liked him when he was in the UFC before. I watched him when he left, and when he came back, he's always been a killer. And I realized that when I was looking at who was going to win this, but I also just looked at Gustafsson. He's a Jon Jones-like fighter. Mm-hmm. He's long. Mm-hmm. He's gone the distance. Mm-hmm. I didn't really know about his chin, and I also said too, there was that factor where I knew that you throw 10 Anthony Johnson style, heavy hits, one of them lands, this fight's gonna be done. Mm-hmm. But I really, for some reason, didn't think he was gonna land one of those. Once he dropped him too, and he started doing the undercuts like we said before, where he's on his, Johnson's on his back and he's coming up from underneath, and you're watching his head crack. I was like, this fight's gonna be over. It's gonna be done. Oh my God. I didn't see that happening. But it does make me very, very excited for Jon Jones' fight. And early on, I've already said it before, I've got Johnson winning that because I just think that Jones is a fight similar to Gustafsson, or Gustafsson to him, whatever, and it's going to be the same thing where if Johnson gets in on Jones, he's not going to be able to do anything.
Yep, and there was we analyze fights for a living, so when I saw that matchup, I thought the same thing that you thought, but it automatically now, moves on to the next fight where you got Johnson against Jones. And the first thing I thought was, man, this type of matchup should, if he's able to beat Gustafsson the way he did, and, not saying that Gustafsson and Jones are, that close in terms of ability, but if we get the Jones that fought Daniel Cormier, he's gonna lose.
Yep.
100% gonna lose. So he's gonna have to bring out some of the stuff that he showed, 3, maybe 4 fights ago nowadays. Right. At this point, some of the things that made him, arguably the greatest fighter of all time. And I've been hearing, or I should say, I've been reading a lot on Twitter, and a lot of people were saying that, and I can't stand this, but they were talking about how Johnson doesn't, quote unquote, have much of a personality, and that he is gonna get swallowed up by Jones pre-fight, so that's gonna carry over into the fight. And to me, I'm gonna say the exact opposite of that. if you don't have that much of a personality, you're probably not going to allow any of the nonsense and foolishness that Jones will be spewing to corrupt you or to change the way you train or, to give him any sort of edge during the fight. Yeah. So, it's going to be hard to go against him against Johnson at this point, especially with the power. And I think that was one thing we saw with Cormier that, he gave up. Cormier had opportunities in that fight.
Yeah, those uppercuts.
But but he doesn't have that power.
No.
It's like, it's that next elite level power that Johnson has, and all it's going to take is one of them. Right. All it's going to take is one. And to me, if you had to put, odds on one of those getting through, I'm going to think one of those is going to get through.
Yeah, and that's why I was thinking too. That was something that Rumble Johnson said in the interview too, leading up to this, was that we don't hate each other. That's why you don't see us going back and forth, talking like Jones and Cormier did. We're going in there to fight. Both were very gracious in their wins and defeat. And I don't think he's going to get caught up in the Jones. I don't think Jones is going to be able to get under his skin. He just wants to fight. He hasn't been one of those guys in the past that you've seen talk all this stuff. I'm excited, and I agree too that where Cormier landed some uppercuts and they were 80%, the uppercuts coming from Johnson are going to be 110, and it's not going to take much. So we're going to analyze this a ton more later.
Right. But I'm really wondering what's going to be. I mean, as a fight fan, as a person who's I would say we're past the point of fans.
Yeah. I would say so.
But you have to wonder what the casual fan / the regular fight fan what's going to be the byline for this fight? What's going to be the reason that this is going to be a fight that you want to see outside of it being Jones? And it's just him. There's gonna be something. There's something that's gonna happen. I don't know if they're gonna play up the substance abuse angle and that sort of thing, or are they gonna try to manufacture something? But there's gonna be something. There's gonna be something that's gonna
do a dethroning of the champion type of angle. I think too. They're gonna maybe play off the Rumble nickname. They're gonna something with knocking off the champion. They did that with Anderson Silva, the king has fallen type of deal, and they're going to do that with Jones. And I think it's just perfect timing right now with Jones this last year. Just the year he's had, the beginning of it, it just feels like this is going to be the last step to where, he got the DUI last year, and then he was, talked all that stuff with Cormier, and then the fight wasn't that good. Then he got caught for cocaine, and then he lost his title. Yep. It just seems like the end.
The slow descent.
Yeah. We'll see, though. But like you said, if we get the Jones from 4 years ago, then we're going in and it's anybody's game again.
Yeah. And especially with it, he's if I know it's different once you get into the octagon to fight, but if you had the length that Jones has and the skill that he has to go along with that, you would think that it would be your game plan to keep Johnson away from you. Use that length. But that's not what he did against Cormier at all. And it's just why would you even give a wrestler a chance to get on you when you have the length and you have the ability to land those kicks, to use those long arms? You would think that would be the game plan against Johnson, but it may not be, from what we've seen in the last Jones fight.
Right. So, give us your opinions. Go to Kick and Make Up Facebook group page. Go to @Kick and Make Up at Twitter. Let us know there at Hybrid MMA. Let us know what you think about the upcoming Rumble Jones fight. What you thought about, what's Gustafsson do now? There's a lot of questions right now popping up, and it's very early, but I'd like to see what you guys think about this, and we're going to be covering the hell out of this coming up. Our low kick. So all the way up to the top of the mountain to the bottom. The low kick this week, it was Dan Henderson and his performance at UFC on Fox. He was the co-main event of last Saturday's fight versus Gegard Mousasi. I put here, how excited are we supposed to get? Number one, for a Henderson fight. He lost in the first round. He lost, and this is what we're going to talk about in the third round, so we'll save that. But There's controversy of if the call was stopped too early. He got poked in the eye early on. Mousasi noticed that something was going on, but Henderson said he was fine. Then he got the hit in the temple behind the ear shot, fell back, said he didn't get knocked. He fell back because he tripped, but you were dazed, so you stumbled back. You didn't trip because you just were hit before that. So that's what I told you before. You stumbled from the shot. Then he was up against the cage, literally laying there, looking knocked out pretty much.
Helpless.
And then he didn't do anything. There was seconds where Mousasi looked at the ref. You gonna stop this? Nope. Landed a huge shot, and then he stopped it. He's 41. I don't know how excited. I'm not excited for Dan Henderson fights anymore. Co-main event on Fox, I get it, because it's Dan Henderson, and a lot of people even were telling me, oh, he's American. I don't care. Well, you got to respect him. It's Dan Henderson. No, I'm not impressed anymore, and I hope he retires and he takes his UFC Hall of Fame spot.
Yes.
Rant over.
Man, hard to disagree in any way with that. The only thing that I would say is, it's easy for us to say you should stop fighting. We don't know his financial situation. We don't know his.
I feel like it's okay. I feel like it's okay.
I'm trying to make an argument for someone who's 41 and obviously well past their prime.
1-5 in the last 6 fights.
I was gonna say at this point, past UFC level talent and ability to continue fighting.
Hasn't won since 2011. That's my last one. That's my last stat. Then I'm done.
I mean, and I think that's the most damning one. I mean, that's a long time ago.
That's a long time
That's
ago.
a long time. And it showed, and you can't help but feel bad, to some degree, just to see, a guy who's a legend in the sport, go out the way that he's going out. But it's kind of what you expect. It's kind of what we expected before the fight. I wouldn't think anything otherwise at this point in his career.
Right.
And I think a lot of people who are fight fans want to see him, do well, but it's just because of those lingering memories, It's sort of like in different sports, like, Michael Jordan, and people wanted to see him play and continue playing even when he was on the Wizards and stuff like that. And it's not the same player. It's the same player in name, body, face, but they're different. They've aged. They've lost that ability to be at the upper echelon. So, yeah. I mean, what are you gonna do? It's his time, and the nonsense that he was talking about, tripping, and you tripped because you got knocked.
Right.
So
I'm a big Gegard Mousasi fan too. Going into this too, that was a very uneven matchup, I thought too. At this point in time, they usually do that on the UFC on Fox cards. They put a big name, regardless of where he's at in the division. They'll put that on there to draw in the fans, the casual fans that are watching TV on Saturday night. But Gegard Mousasi, he is still, I feel like, decently in contention. I don't know what he's ranked. I forgot to look that up. But, he's still, I feel like he's still a big threat in showing this, too. You put him out like nothing in a minute and a half. So I was just, setting up Henderson, too, I feel. If you're going to do that, maybe get another person that's Henderson-like. And have this super fight or veteran, veterans fight or, whatever. That fight, people would have watched that too. You put a Henderson versus somebody else that's a big name, and it's like that fight that you wish you would have watched 10 years ago, maybe, but you're seeing it now. That could have done some. That way the playing field's a little even. But Dan Henderson, retire. And I say that too, retire and then do something else in the sport. You're so much more beneficial. I'm talking to him now, if you didn't know the tone. You're so much more beneficial in the sport than a fighter right now, and that's hard to do. Obviously, where his level's at, it's hard to hang up the gloves and go take a desk job at UFC, I'm sure. But just think of how many people would, go into his office, respect whatever position he has. That's where I think we need to see. If we see him again, and he said he's not done yet, it's like, you're not? Awesome. Looking forward to that next fight. Whenever it is. Hope it's not the co-main event or main event, because it just
when you look at that, it still goes back to our underlying theme for 2015, which is, what is the UFC doing? And like I get this one a little bit more than some of the other moves and stuff, but this is like you said, is a legend. He's gonna get some people to watch. People know his name, but
yeah,
you gotta do better, and I think it's time to move on past some of those names, at this point, and not really look to the past to go garner some success or garner some attention and notoriety. Like it's over. It's time to move on and start developing that new talent, those new names. So I guess I shouldn't really shit on Conor McGregor as much as I do then, because that's exactly what they're doing with him. So I'm gonna have to rethink that, even though I love to just predict Conor McGregor to lose, but I don't quite know why.
Yeah, we didn't get our Conor talking this week.
No.
We'll save that a little bit. We missed last week.
Can I give a half low kick to somebody?
Yeah, give a half low kick.
I'm gonna give a half low kick to Bellator for signing none other than
Kimberly Slice.
Kimberly.
I'm
Wow.
sorry, Kimbo
Slice. Yeah,
I hope he's not watching this. Kimberly, kick him back up. I'll see you guys
I think he might show up or something.
He would.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding, Kimbo. I like you, man. But, man, you got to learn how to wrestle this time around.
Yeah.
I had that for the low kick at first, and then, it's our show. I was like, no, one low kick. We can do two. I like the lower kick.
The low and lower.
The lower kick. Yeah, we'll see, man. Bellator is they're on a whole different playing field now. They're on some other shit.
But but like like we were saying, I hate to sort of harp on our points, but they are in a perfect position now to build some of their talent base, and maybe they don't have the financials to be able to look at it long term, but they have an opportunity right now to build their base. They're going to get some more fighters, come July, once the Reebok deal thing starts. I'm assuming, for the rest of the second half of 2015, they're going to pick up some more fighters. But you have an opportunity now to build some, momentum and start garnering those new names, and you bring in someone who is a marginal talent.
Yeah.
And I mean, he has some striking ability, but he can't wrestle worth a lick.
No.
People know his name from Facebook and YouTube, and that's about it. It just sounds like they're going the same route that the UFC is currently going, trying to do things to, I guess to get attention and to garner a quick buck or, get 12 more people to watch,
Right.
Bellator next go around. So I just hate that. I hate that approach. I think it's a lot better, a lot more sound to go about it by looking to secure, younger talent and develop and build your talent.
It works though, because I'll watch it. I'll for sure watch it. So it works, but we're just, I'm not watching it for any other reason that I would.
And maybe Bellator is in a different spot because they are sort of second to UFC, and they get nervous that if they do develop that younger talent, that it's just going to go to the UFC. So, maybe that's part of their reasoning behind it, and they need to go after whoever they can go after.
Let's talk about the bull kick this week. That's a nice segue. The low kick / probably future bull kick to this week's bull kick, and we're gonna talk about the referees. The referees right now, man. So let's just start with we didn't cover UFC Fight Night Dublin, Conor McGregor, but we're going to talk about the co-main event, Donald Cerrone, and how he did not beat Ben Henderson. He didn't.
No.
Cathal Pendred earlier that night did not beat Sean Spencer.
No.
Then we're going to go to UFC on Fox 14 this past week. The referee should have stopped that Gustafsson fight earlier, but he was waiting for Gustafsson to regain his his composure, because they were in his town. You cannot do that. And then the Henderson Mousasi earlier fight, the stoppage there, that referee, that's 50-50. He could have let it keep going. He could, I agree that it was an early stoppage, but that was coming the next minute anyway. So that one I'm okay with. But I'm not okay with a referee watching the hometown guy get beat up and hoping he pulls it out for the crowd. I'm not okay with the ridiculous calls of the Cerrone, and Pendred.
And I mean, I think the most ridiculous one of the bunch was the Cerrone Henderson fight, and I don't even know what the motivation was. Like, what did you see during that fight that made you say Ben Henderson lost that fight?
Because I know, and that goes back to what the UFC is doing right now. They want to continue to market Donald Cerrone anytime, anywhere. 7-fight win streak now. He's more of a character, more marketable than Ben Henderson is. Henderson, nobody gets excited for him. Nobody got excited for him when he was the champion. He still wasn't selling out places.
I was.
Well, overall, he still wasn't selling out.
Ones, though.
Yeah, I was gonna say at that point, you and maybe a handful of other people were the only ones that was really pulling for Henderson when he was the champion.
Yeah.
So, I know what they're doing. So the next time that Cerrone fights, they can say 7-fight win streak, had this many fights. If they would have stopped that then, that marketing ploy is over. So that's what they're doing. And even everybody there, from the fighters to Henderson to Cerrone to Rogan to everybody was like,
to Dana.
Seriously? Yeah.
Even though he's part of it.
Yeah.
but
play like you didn't know what was going on, but you did that. But anyway, so I get it, and I was just like, that's fine. If that's how it's going to be, then I'm going to go into these fights knowing that it can be lopsided for one fighter and the other fighter may get it depending on where the UFC wants to place them.
Right, and the thing with that fight, and sort of to go slightly contrary to what you were saying about Henderson was showing something and some things that he hadn't shown before, or at least he hadn't shown in a long time, and especially with his activity. And that was the big beef on Facebook, that after that fight was everybody was saying don't confuse activity with, with accomplishment, or don't think that just because he was throwing a lot of kicks and, that he was being active that he was winning that fight. Well, Cerrone wasn't doing anything.
Yeah, and he was landing those kicks as well.
I was going to say the kicks landed.
Or just thrown.
Yeah.
There's not much, it's so lopsided and so obvious that there's not much for us to even say, because everybody's in agreement with it, and it's one of those you take it as is. I understand now that UFC and MMA to a smaller degree has gone into the professional boxing zone, where you're doing fights for money and you're doing fights for entertainment value, and you're gotten away from who's really the contenders and who's in the division and all that stuff. We've gotten away from that. So I'm just going to watch it and cover it and accept that. And sometimes it's going to be hard if I like a fighter more than the other, and he's going to take the nasty end of that stick. But I think that's what this year is going to be about. Like, it's going to be about who's going to be because Cerrone, he's won all these fights. He's still not in any type of contender spot. He's still not. He just fights whenever. He's gonna fight again in a couple weeks, probably on the Colorado card. He's just fighting to fight, and okay, I guess.
And it to me, it's one thing when he goes out and beats Jury the way he beat him, but that whole win streak or whatever is now. I guess that shouldn't. What I was gonna say shouldn't even matter, because they're not. UFC isn't marketing their fights for us. They're not doing that for us, because we're gonna watch regardless of what's happening, what's going on. They're marketing it to the random guy who sees Cerrone drinking a Budweiser and say, "Oh, he drinks Budweiser. Oh, let me watch his next fight." And it's sad, but that's what it is. And that's one thing that I get so torn about is. And I try my best to understand, from a business perspective and from a purist perspective. We want to see all these matchups that may not necessarily, provide the best business for the UFC, but they would provide better fights for UFC. And I think that's what the UFC was grown on, what it developed from. And I just don't understand how you get away from that. If you have to consolidate a little bit just to get things back to the fights, that's what you need to do. You can't do it the other way and say that, well, because we've grown so much, now we have to compromise our vision. And that's what I feel like that's what they've done.
Yeah, that's what's going on. So maybe that, they go in through this year and see that doesn't work, and they lose a chunk of fan base. and they reevaluate next year. I thought this was going to be the year they reevaluate, but this is the rebuilding year for them. So maybe the next one is, going to be different. But I'm just taking it as is because I can't fight it. Nothing I can do about it, and I'm just going to still watch. Like you said, we're just going to still watch. So
I wouldn't even call it a rebuilding year yet. This is like the blind faith year. This is just the double down year.
Yeah, double down year. I like that. That's true.
That's what they're doing this year, and hopefully, almost at this point, I want to see them struggle so that they will decide that they have to change some things.
Oh, those thoughts are from Jeremy Dorsey and Jeremy Dorsey only. Just kidding. But yeah, this is our show. I get what you're saying. Like, I'm just
because I want to see the best. I want to see the best.
Yeah.
I don't want to see the ploys to get fringe fans.
Yeah.
I want to see the best of the best, and we're not going to get that if they continue to feel like they can just do what they want to do.
I love that you said that, because that is going to segue into our into the upcoming fights this weekend. So high kick, low kick, bull kick, that's all done. Now we're going on to this weekend. UFC 183, probably the biggest card of the year so far that they are pumping out, the UFC machine. Anderson Silva is back after his year off, I believe, when he broke his shin last year, or broke his leg last year in half, literally on half on TV. He is fighting Nick Diaz. Now here's where I said they're just doing what they want again. That makes no sense really. Nick Diaz is not ranked. He's not ranked. So Anderson Silva is number 1 contender, and then under him, Jacare, Befort, Machida, Rockhold. These fights are coming up. Rockhold and Machida are coming up. Befort and Weidman is coming up. Nick Diaz, so if he wins this, he doesn't, I don't know, does he just get on the top 10? I don't know. He probably was a few years ago when he was fighting GFC. Who's GFC? Anyway, when he was fighting GSP. But he was gone. He took some time off. He got arrested. I don't know, probably a bunch of times. But I don't get this.
This is the UFC double down plan in full effect right here. This is them 100% wanting Anderson Silva to win. So, being the person that I am nowadays, I want to see him lose. Only because the chaos that would ensue from that happening, just from what you just got through talking about, just seeing them set this up so that he, will probably get the W. Say Diaz gets the win. Where does he go in the rankings? Where does Silva go in the rankings? I mean, what happens at that point? Everybody's banking on Anderson Silva being the same fighter that he was.
Yeah.
Almost ignoring the fact that A, he's coming back from injury. B, he's riding a losing streak of his own. He's not the same fighter that he was 4 years ago.
Right.
And you have to wonder where he's at, what's going on. So I kind of want to see him lose just so we would have more to talk about.
Yeah, and I just see him winning. I see Anderson Silva winning, just similar to how I saw Gustafsson winning, and I was wrong. But just skill level, who he's fought in comparison to who Diaz has fought, just overall, even coming off an injury. I see him winning, and then do they give a third, Weidman and Silva fight?
I don't want to
this
see
summer?
that. I don't want to see that.
But
that's what it would be.
That's what the posters are going to be. The posters are probably made. Dana's going to bring them out after the fight like he did before with Rousey and put them up. It's like, you made those fights for July. For the July card, Chris Weidman and Anderson Silva Part 3. That's the plan. So I get what you're saying too, and I would, I don't want to see them fail. I would love to see the reactions of Rockhold, Machida, Jacare, who's ranked number 2 contender. Like, these guys have been working their way up, and Nick Diaz.
And who really gives a shit about Chris Weidman? I'm sorry. That's just how I feel. He hasn't done anything special for me. Nothing. And I understand that, before he got to Silva, I guess maybe that's what it is. I'm just sort of
tainted. He did something special. He knocked out Anderson Silva. The second time he didn't.
But there was always the question mark over Silva doing Silva shit. And that was the problem. Like, if it was just they were fighting head up and he punched him 2 times and then knocked him out, everybody like, oh, like I would get it. But
he was doing
Silva
his
was
goofy.
doing his goofy shit, and he got knocked out and put on his ass. So like I get the Weidman thing, but I don't get the Weidman thing. And I just want to see his talent. And I know what he did before, Silva, and he showed a lot of his talent then, but it seemed like it's been so long. The only person he's fought in the past 2 years?
2 years, 2.5 years
is Silva.
Yeah.
So sure. I want to see him fight someone else. And if they go into that fight, who would you even call in that? Silva versus Weidman 3.
I don't know.
I guess it depends on this.
I don't know.
It really
again.
depends
I don't
on
know
how Silva
I
looks.
have to see how he
around.
looks. I don't know. Again, I was split before when those fights too.
I'm guessing this fight is going to be it's going to be a unanimous decision for Silva. But I don't think that it's going to be anything sort of spectacular out of him.
Yeah,
it's going to be him working his way back, and I get that.
Yep.
I get that.
I'm more excited actually for the co-main event, for sure. Number 3 welterweight Tyron Woodley versus Kelvin Gastelum. Gastelum's 11-0, coming off a big win over Jake Ellenberger. Welterweight division, exciting, fun division right now. This fight has so Woodley wins. He's probably gonna fight Hendricks or Brown, who are fighting later this year. I've wanted Woodley to get up there into that Robbie Lawler, Hendricks, Matt Brown, all that stuff. I want to see that. Kelvin Gastelum, he's ranked number 7. He beats Woodley. He gets into the top 5. He's on a tear right now too. This is like one fight that I get excited for because it's got so much implications, and you're still seeing people that should be fighting number 3 versus number 7 for potential number 2. Like, that's the stuff I still like, and I'm glad they're at least still doing that.
Right, and this is what we talk. This is what they should be focusing some of these cards around. And I don't think that, and I know financially it probably isn't feasible, but this is what you want to see in a main event of a Fox Sports 1 card, something like that.
Yes.
Like, don't just smash it onto this where it's gonna get, see, I'm battling in my head because I can see why you would do it too, because you want these guys to get some pub and some publicity.
Yep.
So you put them on, you tack them onto this. So I get it, but going back to the fight though, I really think I've been a Gastelum doubter. Like, I just didn't think that he was uber talented. Even when he beat Uriah Hall, like, going all the way back to that, I didn't really think that he was that talented. I thought he was just a grinder. But his last fight brought me over to his side to see that there really is a lot of talent there. And
he's improved so much.
Yes, he
each
has.
fight.
He
visibly, to the naked eye, to a fan that has no idea. Well, I guess you wouldn't know if you haven't watched him, but if you've watched him come up and you really still didn't know that much, you would say he is obviously improving so much each fight.
And one thing I look at, and it's probably kind of superficial, but I look at the fighters' bodies and how their bodies have changed as they went through training and progressing through the years. And Gastelum was someone who was kind of pudgy to start with, and now, I mean, he's chiseled now.
Yeah,
this guy is
exactly right.
I mean, this guy he's obviously put in that time, and he's put in the work so that you're seeing it come out now. So that's going to be a great fight. Woodley is no one to look past. I think that Gastelum still may have bit off a little bit more than he can chew with Woodley, but I really can't wait to see that matchup.
Me too, man. I'm really excited for that one. The rest of the card, there's some good names on it, good fights. Joe Lozon versus Al Iaquinta, that one's going to be a good one too. I'm a big Joe Lozon fan. Tim Bosch versus Thales latest. Tim Bosch always comes and I get that one too, because the heavy hitters getting everybody ready. But I like the first fight, Jordan Mean versus Thiago Alves. I'm a huge Thiago Alves fan. He's kind of been one of those. It's exhausting to be a fan of his because he's up and down and is all over the place. But he's kicking off the main card. I'm excited for that. Also the prelims, I'm very, very excited. This could have been on the main card for sure. Misha Tate versus Sarah McMahon. I think that's an awesome matchup between both of them. You're gonna see that wrestling base, that grappling, but they've got like that grimy, gritty grappling. And also too, it's just I'm a huge Miesha Tate fan. I still want her to get back up. I want to see her and Ronda fight again, just because that's such a nasty rivalry that it's so fun. I'd watch that 5 times. So that one is there, and also Ian McCall versus John Lineker. Big Ian McCall fan. Nice prelims. Nice prelims. Nice card overall. Like I said, I think the main event is surprisingly the fight that I'm least excited to see, but want to see just to see where Silva's at. There's so much more going on in the rest of the card, the prelims that matter right now divisionally, and that's the stuff. As we sit, as you said, we're not fans anymore. We are still fans, but we're fans with a refined eye, and we're looking for those division fights and who's doing what. So
yeah, I think the Tate McMahon fight is going to be the one that I'm probably most excited about.
Yep.
And like you said, seeing McMahon and when she fought Rousey, I don't think you got a real, taste of what she is as a fighter. And I think that with her fighting Tate, you're going to be able to see a little bit more of that. So I would probably give Tate the edge in that one. But I really don't see that fight getting a finish. That's going to go the whole way. Like you said, it's going to be a grindy, grimy fight. Just, it wouldn't shock me to see both of them, battered and bloodied by the end of it. But, that's probably what I'm looking the most forward to. Well,
that about does it, man. I think we summed up 2 weeks worth of MMA pretty decently, man. I want to give a big thank you again to Cafe Fresh here at downtown Moline, 1514 downtown Moline. Like I said, you're done with the show now. Turn it off. It's probably, they have appetizers, they have lunch, dinner, breakfast. Come down here, get a smoothie. Whatever time it is, get on down here, check them out. Thank you so much for letting us shoot here, everybody at Cafe Fresh. And thank you guys for watching the show. Our kick and makeup. Yes, there you go. Zoom, go on the back too. So do this, then zoom in on everything. Yep, good.
I'll zoom in a second too.
Good stuff. Thank you guys for watching this too. That about does it. Go to www.kickandmakeup.com, Facebook group page, Kick and Makeup. At Kick and Makeup is the show's and yours. At Hybrid MMA is mine on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Do. That's what I say. Kick and Makeup. Bing, bang, boom. Remember, don't solve it in the streets. Take it to the cage. Kick and Makeup.